Throughout history, there have been countless women who have achieved great things and made significant contributions to their societies. However, some women have stood out even more, not only because of their accomplishments but because of their incredible influence and power. Today, we take a look at 5 such women who have left a lasting impact on the world. Whether they were political leaders, cultural icons or rulers of great empires, these women rose to the top of their fields and made history. Cleopatra VII, also known as Cleopatra Philopator, was born in 69 BCE in Alexandria, Egypt. She was a member of the Ptolemaic dynasty, which had ruled Egypt since the death of Alexander the Great in 323 BCE. Cleopatra was the daughter of Ptolemy XII Auletes and reportedly spoke many languages including Greek, Egyptian, and Latin. In 51 BCE, her father died, and Cleopatra became the pharaoh of Egypt at the age of 18. Her ascension to the throne was not without controversy, as she had to face opposition both from within her family and from the Roman Empire, which was exerting an increasing amount of influence over Egypt. However, Cleopatra was a shrewd politician and managed to hold on to power through a combination of diplomacy and military might. She also implemented many reforms during her reign, improving the country's infrastructure, including building new temples and irrigation systems. Despite facing many challenges during her reign, Cleopatra managed to hold on to power for over 2 decades and is remembered as one of the most successful pharaohs in Egyptian history. Cleopatra's romantic relationships with 2 of the most powerful men of her time, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, have become the stuff of legend. Her relationship with Caesar began in 48 BCE, when she sought his help in reclaiming the throne from her brother. Caesar was impressed by her intellect and charm, and the two soon became romantically involved. Later, after Caesar's assassination, Cleopatra aligned herself with Mark Antony, one of Caesar's most trusted generals. Antony, like Caesar, was fascinated by Cleopatra and the two fell deeply in love. They had 3 children together. Together, Cleopatra and Antony formed a political and military alliance to secure their power in the region. However, their success would be short-lived. In 30 BCE, Antony was defeated by Octavian, Caesar's adopted son, and he and Cleopatra were forced to flee to Egypt. The 2 lovers eventually died in each other's arms, with Cleopatra reputedly committing suicide by snakebite. Cleopatra's reign and her relationships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony have left a lasting impact on history and popular culture. In the centuries since her death, she has been the subject of countless works of literature, art, and entertainment. The myths and legends surrounding her life have captivated audiences for generations, and Cleopatra remains one of the most famous and fascinating women in history. Beyond her cultural impact, Cleopatra also left an enduring legacy in the realms of politics and economics. She is credited with modernizing Egypt and improving the country's infrastructure. Her reign is considered by many to be a golden age of Egyptian history, marked by stability, prosperity, and cultural advancement. Additionally, Cleopatra's role as a political leader and diplomat has inspired generations of women to enter the world of politics and influence. Queen Elizabeth I of England was born in 1533 to King Henry VIII and his second wife, Anne Boleyn. Elizabeth's childhood was marked by instability and tragedy, as her mother was executed when she was just 2 years old. Elizabeth was declared illegitimate and removed from the line of succession. However, when her half-brother Edward VI died in 1553, Elizabeth was reinstated to the succession. She ascended to the throne in 1558, at the age of 25. Elizabeth was well-educated and spoke multiple languages. Her intelligence, wit, and strong personality would later become her trademarks as queen. Though she faced many challenges during her reign, including religious strife and political turmoil, she proved to be a capable monarch whose legacy would endure for centuries. One of the defining features of Elizabeth's reign was her religious policies and the establishment of the Church of England. Elizabeth was a Protestant, but she believed in religious tolerance and was committed to avoiding the religious strife that had characterized the reigns of her siblings. She employed a policy of religious moderation, seeking to find a middle ground between the Protestant and Catholic factions in England. She implemented reforms to the Church of England that merged aspects of the Catholic Mass with Protestant theology. These reforms were embodied in the Book of Common Prayer, which was published in 1559. Elizabeth's religious policies were not without controversy, however. Many Catholics saw her as a heretic and a threat to the Catholic Church, and there were many attempts on her life. Nevertheless, Elizabeth was able to maintain relative stability and peace in England, and her religious policies have had a lasting impact on British history. In addition to her religious policies and cultural achievements, Elizabeth's reign was marked by impressive military and political accomplishments. She presided over a golden age of exploration and colonization, with England becoming a dominant naval power and establishing colonies in North America. She also thwarted multiple foreign invasions, most notably the Spanish Armada in 1588, which is considered one of the greatest military victories in English history. Elizabeth was a skilled diplomat as well, and she formed alliances with other European powers to secure England's place on the international stage. She also fostered a strong relationship with the English Parliament, ensuring that her policies had the support of the legislative branch. It is perhaps due in part to these achievements that Elizabeth remains such an enduring symbol of English power and prestige. Catherine the Great was born in 1729 in Stettin, Prussia, now Szczecin, Poland, as Sophia Augusta Frederica. She was married off to Peter III, the heir to the Russian throne, in 1745. Initially, Catherine had a difficult time adjusting to life in Russia, as she was mocked for her lack of knowledge of the Russian language and culture. Her relationship with Peter was also strained, and the two eventually separated. After Peter's sudden death in 1762, Catherine was able to seize power in a bloodless coup. As the Empress of Russia, Catherine was a competent and effective leader, who modernized the Russian Empire and transformed it into a major world power. Catherine the Great's domestic and foreign policies transformed Russia into a major world power. She took measures to modernize the Russian economy, including the establishment of new factories and the promotion of trade. She also reformed the legal system, creating a unified system of law and establishing the principle of equality before the law. Catherine's territorial acquisitions expanded the Russian Empire significantly, including the annexation of Crimea in 1783 and the partition of Poland in 1772. Catherine's foreign policy was characterized by a balance of power, in which she sought to prevent any one state from dominating Europe. She fought multiple wars against the Ottoman Empire, establishing Russia as a dominant power in Eastern Europe. She also maintained close relations with the Habsburg Empire, enabling Russia to exert its influence over Eastern Europe. Overall, Catherine's domestic and foreign policies secured her legacy as one of the greatest Russian leaders in history. Catherine the Great was a major patron of the arts and a significant intellectual figure in her own right. She sponsored the construction of the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, which quickly became one of the largest and most important museums in the world. Catherine's collection of artwork and historical artifacts included pieces from throughout Europe and beyond, and she played an active role in shaping the museum's exhibits. Catherine was also a prominent scholar and intellectual, corresponding with some of the leading thinkers and writers of her time. Her intellectual pursuits included a deep interest in philosophy, literature, and education. She founded the Smolny Institute, which was one of the first schools for women in Russia, and she was a vocal advocate for the importance of education in promoting social progress. Overall, Catherine's cultural and intellectual achievements helped to cement her legacy as one of the most influential and forward-thinking leaders in Russian history. Wu Zetian was born in 624 CE in what is now Shaanxi Province, China. She was born into a noble family, but her father was demoted due to an unfavorable report, causing Wu to be sent to the imperial palace as a concubine of Emperor Taizong. After the emperor's death, Wu entered a Buddhist nunnery, but was later summoned to the court of Emperor Gaozong, his son. Her intelligence, wit, and beauty caught the attention of the emperor and she became a prominent concubine. After the death of the empress, Wu quickly rose in power, becoming one of Gaozong's wives and later gaining the title of empress. Through a series of political maneuvers, Wu was able to consolidate power and become the only empress regnant in Chinese history. During her reign as Empress of China, Wu Zetian implemented a number of important cultural, economic, and political reforms. She sponsored the opening of the first Imperial Academy for Women, ensuring that women had access to education and that talented women could serve in the government and contribute to society. Wu also initiated public works projects, including the expansion of the Grand Canal, which helped to increase agricultural productivity and promote trade. She reformed the land tax system and reduced the burden of taxation on the poor. Wu's rule was also characterized by her ruthless suppression of political dissent, which led to a number of executions and political purges. Wu Zetian's legacy has had a significant impact on Chinese history. Her reign helped to establish China as a major world power, and her contributions to education and the arts paved the way for future generations of Chinese women. However, Wu's authoritarian rule also set a precedent for other leaders who would follow, leading to a trend of authoritarianism and abuse of power in Chinese politics. Nevertheless, Wu remains a symbol of female empowerment and resilience, and her life and legacy continue to inspire and influence people around the world. Indira Gandhi was born on November 19, 1917, in Allahabad, India. She was the daughter of Jawaharlal Nehru, a prominent nationalist leader who would later become India's first Prime Minister. Growing up, Indira was exposed to India's vibrant political landscape and the struggle for independence from British colonial rule. She pursued her education in India and Europe, attending Oxford University briefly before returning to India to work as a political advisor. In 1942, she married Feroz Gandhi, a fellow political activist who would later become a member of parliament. Indira's political upbringing, education, and family background all played a role in shaping her beliefs and values, and would help her become one of the most powerful and influential leaders in Indian history. Indira Gandhi had a long and illustrious political career, serving as Prime Minister of India from 1966 to 1977 and then again from 1980 until her assassination in 1984. During her tenure, she implemented a number of important policies and programs that helped to shape modern India. One of her most significant achievements was the Green Revolution, a program aimed at increasing agricultural productivity and reducing India's dependence on food imports. Under her leadership, the government also nationalized banks, creating new opportunities for economic growth and reducing the influence of wealthy elites. Gandhi was also instrumental in the creation of Bangladesh, a new country that emerged from the former East Pakistan following a bloody war in 1971. Gandhi's policies on democracy, civil liberties, and human rights were often criticized, as she was accused of authoritarianism and suppressing political dissent. Nevertheless, her achievements as a leader are widely recognized, and her legacy continues to inspire and influence people around the world. Indira Gandhi's life came to a tragic end on October 31, 1984, when she was assassinated by two of her bodyguards. Her death sent shockwaves through the country and led to a period of instability in Indian politics. Despite her controversial actions as Prime Minister, many people mourned her loss and remembered her as a strong and decisive leader who had made important contributions to Indian society. Her legacy continues to be felt today, with many of her policies and programs still influencing Indian politics and society. However, she is also remembered for her authoritarian tendencies and the ways in which her actions violated democratic norms and civil liberties. Nevertheless, her life and legacy serve as an important reminder of the power of political leadership and the influence that individual leaders can have on the course of history. And that brings us to the end of our journey through the lives of some of the most powerful women in history. From Cleopatra VII of Egypt to Indira Gandhi of India, these women have shown that power and influence are not just the domain of men. They defied the odds, broke down barriers, and made their mark on the world. Their accomplishments paved the way for future generations of women to dream big and achieve greatness. Today, we celebrate their lives and contributions, and we honor their legacies.